Dobrý večer, vítajte v Záhrade. Welcome in Záhrada. V tejto prvej časti budeme hovoriť po slovensky a po anglicky. In this first part I will speak also in English but also in Slovak, but whole discussion will be only in English. Budeme sa dnes baviť na EMBARGO festivale s významným slovenským fotografom, novinárom Andrejom Bánom. So we will discuss with one of the famous photographer and journalist in Slovakia, Andrej Bán. And the moderator of this discussion will be Alexandra Bitušíková from Matej University. Takže moderovať bude Alexandra Bitušíková z Univerzity Mateja Bela. A počas diskusie sa vlastne pozrieme, diskusia sa volá Migrácia po fotografii a budeme vlastne cez prácu Andreja Bána sa snažiť ako keby pozrieť sa na také jeho zásadné práce, krajiny, kde pracoval a cesto sa vlastne dotknúť tých dôležitých tém v súčasnosti. So we will discuss about the work of Andrej Bán, and through that we will try to tackle some important issue of current times. A teda vítam tu takto na záver môjho úvodu všetkých hostí z verejnosti a samozrejme väčšinu ľudí, ktorí tu sú naši medzinárodní hostia z projektu Reconnecting Europe. So I welcome all people from the broad public, from Banská Bystrica, but also our international guest from Reconnecting Europe project. So that's all from me, and I wish you good, useful and maybe not so easy discussion. Takže želám vám všetko dobré.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this program, which is part of the EMBARGO Festival, which is organized by the movement which was established in Banská Bystrica, not in our town. And I'm very happy to be here with a very distinguished guest, Andrej Bán. I'm not a moderator as a job, so I might not be the best moderator, but I will try my best. I would like to start with a short introduction of Andrej. I googled his biography, not that I don't know his activities, but I didn't know details about his life.
You know more about me than me.
Well, yes, you can add things or delete things from my introduction. So Andrej was born some years ago in Bratislava. He studied at the Faculty of Economy at the Economic University and at the Faculty of Arts at Comenius University in Bratislava. Since 1987 he has been a press photographer and writing reporter for a number of mainly Slovak and Czech, later also foreign media. For older than me or as old as me people, I can say that the names of the journals like Mladé rozlety, Mladý sviet, later Plus 7 dní, Reflex, recently mainly famous magazine Týždeň, to name just a few. And in recent years he worked also with foreign media, Newsweek, One Magazine and others. Andrej has been publishing a lot of feature stories in numerous media here and abroad. He was a curator for a number of exhibitions in Bratislava and abroad, participated as a photographer in more than 50, that's what I learned, but you may correct me, exhibitions all over the world. He wrote many articles on photography, lectures at photography seminars and workshops. He is a member of the Czech Press Photo International. In 1999 he co-founded and then chaired the humanitarian organization People in Peril, ľudia v ohrození. He is also co-founder of the Slovak documentary Photo Civic Association. He was awarded many awards. I can mention at least a few, like Kristallové krídlo, Crystal Wing in 2004, which is awarded to most influential personalities and professionals in Slovakia. And last year, to stay at home, last year he was also awarded the Human Forum Award for Humanization of the Society. This award has been founded by the Banská Bystrica movement, not in our town, which is also co-organizer of this embargo festival. Andrej has been working on a lot of long-term documentary projects, photography projects. I will mention only a few. The other Slovakia, Putnici or Pilgrimages, and Kosovo, which ended up also as an important publication. He published a number of publications. I'm sure that we will hear about them. The last one was south of Eden, yes, last year. And he also co-authored the scripts of a number of documentary films: Short Memory, Tissos, Shadows, Aquarium, We Are Here, and others. So Andrej is really interested in humanist ethos and impact of difficult life circumstances on ordinary people and their ability to cope with often life-threatening situations. He reported on the aftermath of the war in Kosovo, which also ended up as a publication, but he worked in many other countries, to my knowledge about 25 countries, including Bosnia, Georgia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Israel, Gaza region, Turkey, Ukraine, Haiti, and many others. After having lots of experience from the conflict and war zones all over the world, he found a zone of conflict also in his homeland, Slovakia, and has become very active in combating this conflict. I now talk about Andrej's active battle against growing extremism and radicalization of the Slovak society in recent years, and his very active engagement and personal participation in the project Forgotten Slovakia. We will talk also about that. So now my questions. Andrej, I would like to divide this discussion into three parts, maybe. First, the beginnings of your career, because that's also important for young people. How media worked during communism, where you grew up, like me. Then your work in really conflict war zones. And at the end also your active engagement in the Forgotten Slovakia project. So can you please tell us about the beginnings of your career? How was it to be a journalist in communist Czechoslovakia? You worked in a number of journals, some of them were more censored than others, but all were very censored, as we know. What has shaped your opinions, your motivation, your professional attitude and journalist ethics, I would say, which wasn't easy in communist Czechoslovakia? Can we start with this?
Yeah. Hello, good evening, my friends. So, first, originally, I think to explain you that everything is written in my picture, so I don't need to explain nothing. So, but it will be not best option, I'm sure. I'm here for explaining my attitude, my my opinions, and I will be happy if you will ask some questions. It's for me a basic and crucial point, not to speak only from my side to you, but also to ask questions and I will answer. That's a crucial point for discussions in Forgotten Slovakia, because in Slovakia, as you know, perhaps we have in parliament the party which is near to the extreme right policy, the party of Mr. Marian Kotleba, who was former chief of this district of Banská Bystrica, and since their presence in a parliament, we organize public discussions every month with the people, with 100, 200, 300 people. And these are discussions who I start with the end, but I'm sorry, I must explain. These are discussions where participate also the people from this party. And I am happy because the day comes and we have the opportunity, the chance to discuss with them, to ask them the questions, and then can ask the questions. And the people who observe these discussions, who watch, who see these discussions, can decide which kind of argumentations are using by us and which kind of argumentations or arguments are used by these people. And we film, as here, all discussions on video, and we put on Facebook, on internet, on websites, and the people, many thousands of people can watch these discussions. It's very important, especially now in the world, what's happened in United States, the presidency of Mr. Trump, what's happened in Europe, what's happened in Slovakia, what's happened in V4 countries like Czech Republic, Poland, Slovakia. These are countries with divided society. You have in these countries two parts of society, and every part of this society hate the other part. In Czech Republic, in Poland, you have the people who vote for Mr. Kaczynski party, and they hate the other people. In Hungary, you have the party of Mr. Orbán, and also this is completely divided party. And I'm happy that in Slovakia we have still the face-to-face dialogue of the people in society who have completely different opinions, but in spite of this, they could discuss. That's for me important for the beginning. These are pictures from my book, South of Eden. These are 25 years of my work in 25 countries as a writer journalist, as a photographer, and this book is was published last year in Slovakia in two versions, in English and in Slovak. And these are people mostly not during the war conflict, but after the war. After the earthquakes, after the tsunami, after the war. I was in Kosovo, for example, for 56 times or 60 times, I don't know, I don't account this. And for me it's very important to go in these countries after the conflict, when the people stay alone and all media go in the other conflicts. And these people feel alone, and it's very important to speak with them and to hear their stories and to explain to the audience in Slovakia and all over the world these stories. Now back to your question. Yes, I started to work as a journalist in 1987. It was 2 years before the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. I was working for a magazine, for weekly magazine Mladé rozlety, which was for the young people. And yes, it was, it's hard to explain the experience during communism, because I have a very good friend with me, Mr. Mohammad Hasna, he is here, and he is leader of the Islam Foundation in Slovakia. And I explained to Mohammad the joke which was during the communism in Czechoslovakia. You know that in August 1968 comes the Soviet troops and the Warsaw Pact troops in Czechoslovakia invasion. And after this invasion has been the discussions in the factories, in the schools, what is opinion of the people about this invasion. If you agree with this, you can continue in your work. If you don't agree, you will get a stop. And one guy explained, I have my opinion, but I don't agree with my opinion. It's joke, but it's also kind of the truth. And it was, it's not good to explain in easy words how was this system. I was not facing the brutal censorship as I'm sure was in 50s when was hard communist system. It was the kind of the normalization, we can say. I was not member of the Communist Party, but my editor-in-chief asked me many times if I will accept the membership in the Communist Party, as my colleagues in Mladé rozlety magazine. We refused, but we didn't refuse directly, that's from eyes to eyes, I don't want to be a member. It was kind of the curves, we can say. And what was for me most important, that's it was to tell to people the stories. Since I start to make photos, to be a photographer, I was 15-year-old young man. I photograph people, not nature, not acts of the young girls, not I don't know what, people in their life. Not arranged people, not arranged photos, but the documentary or the reportage photo. And what was important during the communism, it's kind of the paradox. The magazines about the photography who were in former Czechoslovakia were much better than today. Today you have magazines about megapixels, about Canon, Nikon, about the technical questions. In their times, in that magazines were the stories about the life of the photographers, about their opinions, about their attitude. Now it's age of the technical data, so it's very mixed feeling. What was communism? This is the picture which is in the beginning of my book. This is the park in Hungary, in Budapest, where Hungarian authority put it after the fall of the communism, the statues of Stalin and Lenin and everything. So communism is still in the mind of the people, I'm sure, even it's 30 years after the Velvet Revolution.
Thank you. We remember in Banská Bystrica just the short curve. We also used to have a big statue of Lenin here in Banská Bystrica. I remember I was there in 1993. It was quite late. No, 1992. 1992 it was, when it was disrupted. It was taken by a big machine somewhere. I witnessed that. People were shouting, just hang him and blah blah. And it's still strange that no one knows where this statue ended. No one knows.
It's prepared for the future.
Hungary made this museum of these statues.
Yes, Hungary.
We just
Some very rich people in USA.
But let's move maybe. 1989, you started to be quite quickly very interested in various crisis and conflict situations in the world, and started to be also a witness and photographer of these situations. Let's start with Bosnia, for instance. So what was the moment when you realized that this is it, I must do something in this area, I can't watch it just from the sofa and watching the television, what's going on in the world?
Yes, thank you for this good question. This moment was in Kosovo, definitely, but Kosovo happens in beginning of 1999, and 10 years before, in 89, when was the Velvet Revolution in my country, in Czechoslovakia, I was as a journalist with one small group of the people in a communist Romania. And it was the fall of the Nicolae Ceausescu regime, and the secret police, Securitate, was very, very brutal. It was definitely not Velvet Revolution, it was brutal revolution. And I was then there with a big lorry, big car, with medical help and with food and with everything, with my friends, and we goes in Temeshwar. And it was the first time I have seen the mass graves. Mass graves 400 kilometers from Bratislava, in the main square in this Temeshwar town. They put the people who were victims of the Securitate, of the brutal communist secret police, and I was shocked, of course. But it takes for me 10 years. In 1999, I was in border between Kosovo and Macedonia, Kosovo and Albania, Kosovo and Macedonia, Albania, and Montenegro. And I was there with my very experienced Czech colleague from the Czech magazine Reflex, Mr. Jan Šibik. He is a real war photographer. And we have been there and we have seen the exodus of the Kosovar people, of Albanians of course, to these countries. Every day many thousand people goes. And we came back in Czechoslovakia, in Prague, and we come again in Kosovo in June, when the 78 days of the airstrikes by NATO ended, and we goes inside the Kosovo. I have seen burned houses, I have seen dead bodies, I have seen many bad things, and when I came back, I was so shocked that how the discussion in Slovakia, in Czechoslovakia was. That discussion was only about the NATO airstrikes and not about this exodus. I was angry on the people in my country. And I found it with my colleagues inspired by the Czech organization People in Need, who was founded 9 years before by Czech photographers and Czech journalists, also Jaromír Štětina and Petra Procházková and Jan Urban. And we created the NGO, the organization People in Peril. And first, what we did was the collection of the phone cards. Because in Slovakia comes in this time more than 300 or more than 400 people from Kosovo, Kosovar Albanians as refugees in the camp near to Danube in Gabčíkovo, and they should to call. It was not the time of the mobile phones, it was still the time of this pre-mobile phone, not pre-mobile but fixed lines. And we gave to these people the phone cards because they could call to their families in Germany, in Austria, that they are still alive, everything is okay. So that was our first thing. And next we start to repair a school in Kosovo. So that was our beginning in People in Need, People in Peril.
So what was next then? Of course, then you visited many more conflict zones, even war zones, and I always wonder how the photographer in these areas can manage his or her sometimes personal feelings, how to differentiate between being really a reporter, photographer, and being a savior, rescuer, or human being with emotions.
Yes.
Is it possible to find this border there?
Yes, both of these are missions, but I don't think so that it's definitely in contradiction. I found it as a chairman of the board, these People in Peril, and I start to visit these countries where our staff was working. People from Slovakia, for example, this is in Sri Lanka after tsunami, this is in Pakistan after earthquake, and we have there 2, 3, 4 people who organize the humanitarian aid. I go there, I was there for 1, 2, 3 weeks trip. I was not a worker in the humanitarian organization. I was there as a photographer, as a journalist, as a witness. And I think these pictures and also pictures of the other photographers could help for the people in my country and also in the other country to better understand what is behind the conflict. Because, to be fair, what can you see in the news? In the news you can see only 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds informations, very short informations. What's happened yesterday was a bomb attack, for example, in Egypt. Today was a, I don't know, car accident, something terrible in the other country. This is very, very sad experience about the psychiatric clinic in Peshawar, in border between Pakistan and Afghanistan. So I will explain more about those pictures. And what is important is to explain the people what is behind these conflicts. And it's the field for the documentary films, it's the field for the documentary photographers, for the journalists, and that's what I do. I was for 11 years chairman of the People in Need, People in Peril, and after this I decided to go back in the magazine and to work as a photographer for not for 50% but for 100%, because I think it's very important now in the time of internet, in the time of Facebook and Twitter and everything, because the people are still working with their mobile phones, with their computers, and they believe what they see in the mobile, that is true. But it's important to show the people by your eyes what's happened. That's the profession of the reporters. I'm very sad that also the profession of the journalism is changing in my country, but not only in my country, all over the world. That now you can see journalists who are sitting in their offices and they are working from computer. They go on Google and they use some word, and then they can write article about everything. I'm so sorry. It's a little bit stupid.
Not witnessing anything.
Yeah.
I'm sure that each of these pictures could tell us a story. It's obvious.
Yes,
And
this
I
is-
will give you space
This
for
is,
telling us more about
Story from
these
Georgia.
pictures.
Georgia, it's together with Kosovo, my second homeland. I have no time to explain everything, but I was in Georgia first time in summer 2008, when was the Summer Olympic Games in Peking in China, and same time start the war between Georgia and Russia. You know perhaps the Russian troops invaded in Georgia from the Caucasus, from the North Caucasus, and Georgian President Mr. Saakashvili, now he's the big figure in Ukraine, definitely. I met him. He accepted me as a journalist. You can imagine, it was in 2 hours 30 minutes of the night. He gave me this schedule, this time, 2:30 at night. It was only one president in the world who I did interview after midnight. And my first question is, dear President, do you have some other journalists after me? Yes, Financial Times and Wall Street Journal at 4 and at 5. And my second question was, when are you sleeping? He started to think and he said, between 6 and 7 morning. So it was very difficult time, and Georgia is for me the country who is very close to Slovakia, with the mentality, with the Christian religion, with everything, with the history, with the experience with Soviet Soviet Empire, we can say, with Soviet communism. And I was there about 10 times after this war, and this is the story about the people, 250,000 people, Georgian refugees from Abkhazia, lives for 25 years in such conditions, in the former schools, in the former spa, in the former, I don't know, cooperatives, and they have for 1 month $10, €10 from the States, and that's all. They leave media. No.
In the story of that.
Yeah.
Which is still going on, unfortunately. I don't like to ask the next question because usually, of course, people are interested only in bad things in media. But still, can you tell us whether you experienced the moment, the worst moment when you said, well, I can't go further, this is too much for me, I really think that I cannot cope.
Yes, but I don't want to focus your attention on me. I'm not important in this story. I'm the man who is reporting to you the stories of those people. Those people are important, not me. And I'm also very angry
about those people.
I am also very angry on my colleagues, war photographers and one report, who focus the attention on themselves. I was there, people were shooting on me, and I was, I don't know. It happens to me also, but I don't want to explain when and where. Very difficult situation in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, very difficult situation in Gaza Strip, in Palestinian territories, very difficult situation in Haiti, but...
I actually thought not so much sorry about you, but mainly about whether there were situations which were so emotional for you that you saw people in such pain, or I don't know, that you said, though you imagine that it's really difficult to cope if I can't help them and observe this. It's so difficult to cope with this. Did you experience such situations?
Oh, yes, of course. And first, I observed this situation in Kosovo. That's the reason why I found it with my friends, these people in the organization. And then everywhere I was, this is Afghanistan, it was Pakistan, everywhere I was, and I was very, for example, in Afghanistan, I was in Pakistan, I was after earthquake, and we came to the former village, which was, I can show you the picture, completely destroyed village, 2-3 meters high wall of the falling stones in the upper mountains, and we came there, and the people invited us to their not homes. They were not homes in their field, and they gave us tea, of course the tea, and some food. I felt shame because they have nothing to eat, but they will be, for them it's very important in these countries, the guest is for them something special. It happens also in Kosovo, in Albania, in many Muslim countries. I was in Pakistan after the earthquake, and I can explain you something what was for me very important. It touched me in my heart. In the town of Muzaffarabad, near to Muzaffarabad is Abbottabad. I explained to Muhammad that in Abbottabad was Osama bin Laden during the time I was there also. And in this Muzaffarabad, after the Friday praying in the mosque, the people who goes out from the mosque sit on the field, and in comes the group of the people with the hot soup and gave to everybody the bread and the hot soup. I asked them, what's happened here? We have in Czechoslovakia every year in 24 of December, we have, we have Christmas. And during these Christmas times, people from the NGO goes with the soup in the field and give to the people, and they explain me, we do this every week, not once a year, but every week on Friday, to the people who are who are homeless, who are without without money, who are poor. We give them, and it's for us normal. It's for us kind of the behavior in the society to help to the people. It's nothing special. It's normal. This experience touched me very much.
And you already replied to my next question, which was wanted to be more positive. What were the most happiest moments in during your work, which give you hope in humanity, in the future of humanity? But you already explained some of them. Maybe you can tell us more.
The happiest moments, if you ask the lady or the woman who has 10 children, which child is for her most important, perhaps she cannot explain you which. I cannot decide, but this experience with the migrants, with the refugees, this is from Hungarian-Serbian border. This is very important picture for me. This is in southern Serbia, the Albanian territory. There lives Muslims, and these are Syrian and Iraqi refugees during 35 hot summer temperature, who are in the house of one very rich man, and he accept these migrants in his home, in his garage. Not only accept, he gave to them food and water. Can you imagine that in your house comes 5, 6, 10 young Syrian men and Iraqi men, and they start to lie in your garage? Can you imagine this? In Slovakia it's very difficult, and in this valley of southern Serbia, and he explained me, it's for me normal, we are Muslims and we must help to the other people. It happens 700, 800 kilometers from Bratislava. And this is the picture from the very dramatical situation in the border between Hungary and Serbia during September 2015, when Mr. Orbán government closed the border with a fence. These are from Afghanistan refugees. From the hour to hour, they closed the border, the Hungarian police, and they were very dramatical situations. So I absolutely agree that European states must protect their borders. I absolutely agree that we must protect ourselves face to face to the terrorist attack. But for me, it's crucial and more important to be still a human being. If the people are in the not human conditions, you cannot say that you are everybody terrorist. What's happened in Slovakia after the terrorist attack it was on Friday. I remember very good. Friday, November 13, 2015, was the terrorist attack in Paris. And our Prime Minister, Mr. Fico, says after 2 days that we are monitoring every Muslim in Slovakia. Every Muslim in Slovakia, what he says? He says that every Muslim is suspected as a terrorist. It's absolutely not acceptable for me. And I started to explain to the people in Slovakia, in the television, in the radio, in the media, that collective blame as a principle is not acceptable.
I want to give some space also to our audience, but let me ask one more question about back to Slovakia problem, about your important engagement in the really important educational program Forgotten Slovakia, which has been founded, for those who don't know, really as a reaction to the growth of extremism, radicalization in the society, in the Slovak society. Not in our town and Human Forum and Embargo Festival are part of this movement too, but the project Forgotten Slovakia really has been a very important project, and you, with some other people, colleagues, had the courage, willingness and patience to face real also extremists, but also people who are uninformed and follow extremism, don't know, are confused in various small towns, villages of Slovakia. So tell us about this experience, please, and whether you can have hope for Slovakia, for the future of democratic Slovakia after all these experiences.
Yes, thank you for this question. First, the question, if discussed with the people who are close to the extreme right or not, is a crucial question. And I have many arguments for saying not, and I have many arguments for saying yes. Also in Slovak media, I have colleagues who think, how can you discuss with those fascists? How can you go in small towns in the, for example, I don't know, Revúca, Veľký Krtiš, Brezno, and to discuss with those fascists? I say, I organize public discussions. And I don't know who are you. I cannot go in the door and ask you, please, you are close to Mr. Kotleba or not? If yes, go out. I will never do this. Never. And yes, after 5 discussions starts to go and to participate in the audience also the people from this Kotleba party with the green shirts and with LSNS, and we face the dilemma how to discuss with them. And I, as a man, as a photographer, as a journalist, I face much difficult situations, as I explained, in Gaza Strip, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Kosovo. So for me, it was not so difficult, but I have together with me the very important guests, for example, the survivors of Holocaust in Slovakia, famous historians, famous ethnologists, famous, I don't know, artists. And I am responsible as a man who is moderating this discussion for my guests. And but the crucial point, the turning point, was a discussion in the town of Kežmarok, where comes for 60-70 people from this party with the bus in the audience, and they became sometimes very angry, but the other people can see how we discuss to them. And for me was most important when the people from the back from the audience start to ask the questions, and not to ask only to ask the questions, but to face this fascist and to say, I don't agree with you, I have different opinion, my experience, for example, with the Roma are good, and what are you expressing, it's totally stupid. And it was for me the crucial point that I'm organizing this discussion not for these people from this party, but for the other, and they can see how is going this discussion. So that's the crucial point, crucial reason for me why I, with my friends, it's not only me. We are, for example, 6 or 7 people in the board of this Forgotten Slovakia. We organize this discussion and we show to the other people that it's no reason to resign and to be not active. It's the question of the citizen activity. Citizen activity, which is not a part of the political system. I am not member of the political party. I am doing this as a citizen of Slovakia because I totally don't agree with the ideology of this neo-Nazi and fascist party, but I give the respect to everybody, also to the people who are supporting this party. And my experience is that most of these people, I don't know, 70-80% are not in their heart fascist or neo-Nazis. They are angry people. That's the same what happens in United States. Why the people in United States voted for Donald Trump? Because they are angry. They are angry on system. They have some good reasons, some stupid reasons, but they are angry. And with angry people, if you ignore them, they became more angry. So only one possibility is to make some dialogue with those people.
To be more active.
Yeah.
That is exactly why we in this city established, not in our town, 4 years ago after Kotleba's result in regional election, and we tried our best in our small conditions, but that's also why we are here during this Embargo Festival. I think that now it's time for the questions from the audience, and maybe also for you to tell us more about these pictures, which, as I said, each of them
This
is
is
one
Nagorno-Karabakh. This former picture is the town of Agdam. Nagorno-Karabakh is still the part of Azerbaijan, but now it's unrecognized state close to Armenia. I was there from Armenian side. It was the city where lives for 30-40,000 people, Azerbaijani Muslims, and now it's totally empty. There is nobody, no one people, no one man. This is Northern Ireland. I was there during the conflict between Catholics and Protestants in 1997, 1998. This is also Nagorno-Karabakh. So, but
Yes, let's open
discussion.
for the discussion. So, has anyone have a question for Andrej? Yes, please. It's hard to see you there, but
First of all, thank you for sharing your pictures and bringing them with you. I think they're really strong and transport this situation. And my question is about how do you approach people in the situations? And I mean, they're so intense and dangerous. So how is your approach? Right in front of the moment when you take a picture.
Thank you for this question, because to be a photographer, for me, I don't know how it is for the other photographers, but for me, is to be alone. I feel much stronger if I'm alone than I am in the group with other journalists. I don't know if you understand me. If you are part of the 3-4 people in the group of journalists, you are target for the terrorist. You are. I never use the helm and
Press.
Yeah. Yes, I used in Afghanistan once, but I go normal like this. I use the small camera, which doesn't look like a professional camera, and I speak to the people from eyes to eyes. Very important is kind of the energy who goes from you to the other people. If you are friendly to the people, you have the good chance to survive. If not, your chance is very limited. It happens to me in Haiti, for example, after earthquake. I was there and I speak French also. French, Russian, English, German, a little bit. And the people in Haiti, they speak French, of course. And I was there in one small part of Port-au-Prince, where the people, jak sa povie, vyhrávali tie zvyšky tiel? digging out the
remains of the bodies.
the remains of the bodies. And I start to take some pictures, and it was group of the 10, 11 men, black men with kropas. Yeah. And they became very angry on me. And if I start to be in the panic, they will kill me and nothing happens. Nobody will know that I was there. I was there alone. And I start to speak to them in French. I am from the small country in the totally opposite part of the world, in Europe. I want to show to my people in my country what's happened to you. And they start
to clean down
and to speak with me. It's very important to be fair. To be fair, not to go, can I make your pictures to behind? No, directly.
So you need to talk to them and to
You
build
need to
trust,
talk.
some trust,
Yeah.
but you don't have much time sometimes to build
Yes,
trust.
sometimes not, sometimes yes. It happens
But
like this.
Dialogue is very important.
Dialogue
Talking-
and also,
talking to the people.
also photography is kind of the language without words. Sometimes you have no chance to speak nothing, to express nothing in the words, just to be there, for example, in the funeral, and to be there as a part of the funeral. And you can see from the eyes of the people if they accept you or not. If not, you must go out.
You
It
must
happens
have
to
this
me.
intuition.
Yeah,
when you,
it's
when
kind
is the
of the
border.
yes, of the body language.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. The next question.
Hello. I have a question in relation to something you said earlier, that you hope with your pictures to, especially in Slovak society, to show the life of other people in other places and so on. But so what do you think then about, at the moment there's a lot of talk about fake news, and also pictures are part of this. For example, in Germany a while back we had the situation where there was a picture on some website and so on, and it was supposed to show a refugee crossing the sea on a jet ski, and there's all these refugees there, even renting jet skis to come to Europe, and it actually was a German national footballer on his vacation, right? So, can pictures, how can images be protected from this kind of misinterpretation? I guess that's my question.
Yes, very important questions, thank you. Of course, you have no 100% protection. It doesn't exist. I always explain to the people, if you see some hoax, for example, and you are not sure if it's true or not, and it's something which is you must go on the serious media websites, for example, BBC or I don't know, Guardian or big global media, and to confront this information with informations on these websites. And for me, it's important who has a credit. And for example, when I started to be a photographer in 1985, for me the biggest inspiration, and it's still the biggest inspiration, is the Magnum Photo Agency, created after the World War II by the people like Capa, like Henri Cartier-Bresson, like the other photographers. And you must trust to some people, that's what they do. It happens like this. Because now we are living in the times of Photoshop, of the big manipulation. I was member of the international jury of Czech Press Photo, and we put out some photos because we recognize that they are manipulated. Now it's the big discussion in the World Press Photo competition also. What is the border of the manipulation? Of course, if you make bigger contrast, it's not manipulation, but if you put out somebody from the picture, it's manipulation. If you if you do the other kind of the manipulations, but you cannot, it's not easy, it's not easy to recognize what is manipulation and what's not. It's the question to go really in the media like BBC, like Guardian, like the other, like in Germany. You are from which country?
Yeah, Germany.
From Germany. I don't know if you trust in the German media, but for example, the media like Der Spiegel, or for example, Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung, are most trustable than some websites who are not known who is doing this. So we are not living in the world where is everything clear. We will live more and more in the world which is unclear. I don't know if you have seen the very good movie Spotlight, which in last year it was named in Oscar. The US film Spotlight is about the Boston Globe. Have you seen this movie? Spotlight is the group of the journalists in Boston Globe who recognize the sexual harassment doing by the Catholic priest, Catholic bishop in abuses in Boston. And you can go deep in the process how this media, how this daily newspaper worked for many, many months on this matter, on this issue, and they, after many months, they publish the first informations. So it's necessary to go very deeply in the topic and not to go every day with some new information. So that's like this.
We had the whole Human Forum 2 weeks ago about this, the influence of media and fake media and social networks on attitudes or opinions of the people, how important it is to really support critical thinking and education towards critical thinking. So it was a good question, good answer. So anyone else, please?
I'm not sure if it was a good answer. I don't have good answer on this question because it doesn't exist. You don't have any filter for watching, for seeing what is true and what is lying. It doesn't exist.
But we still have to can verify our things which we read. Yes, Sheila?
I only wanted to tell that more people told on this conference. No, I only wanted to tell that the more people on the conference told that it's about sources where you are finding these informations. That this was maybe the main knowledge what we learned that we need to know
real
from
sources,
where
real names,
yes.
which you can recognize, real sources.
There's a question.
Yes, please.
Hello, my name is Darko, and I'm interested on next things. Generally, to believe in a modern mass media is like to believe in fairy tale. It is also a lot of times happened. In example, Christian Amanpour get Pulitzer award for the reporting from war in Yugoslavia, what was later discovered that it was fake. Like Jackie Rowland from time of 99 in also in Yugoslavia when it was NATO bombing before NATO intervention in Serbia. I'm interested about your opinion about that.
About Christian Amanpour
yes.
About Yugoslavia?
No, about Christian Amanpour and Jackie Rowland, both of them working for a really big media, CNN and BBC. Christian get the Pulitzer award for the news what was fake. and later it was discovered that it's fake. But
And what was fake? I don't know about this.
she was talking about beginning of war in Yugoslavia.
And?
She was on area where was this conflict start.
Yeah.
And after
It was-
some, but she was in idea that is like that. But she never give back the police award.
Aha. If it's like this, it's not acceptable, of course. But I have seen the movie, the documentary movie War Photographer about James Nachtwey. Have you seen this movie?
Unfortunately, no.
War Photographer,
Unfortunately, no.
James Nachtwey. And in this movie was Christian Amanpour also. She visited one village, Velika Kruša. Do you know this village near Prizren in Kosovo? And she was there directly. I don't know about her story, so I cannot explain you. If it's like this, it's for me not acceptable, because to report from the place where I have not been, it's fail, of course. And you cannot write the story that it happens like this, it happens like this, it was some conflict, and to not mention that I was not there, of course. I don't agree with this. So, but I am not advocate of Christian Amanpour, so I can explain only my attitude, and my attitude is that every picture, for example, from this book, is from the place where I was. So that's.
And now the real question: how much the political decision now destroy the journalist ethics?
How much? If you work in state media, for example, in the country which is between democracy and dictatorship, and if you are working for the media who is under influence of the government, you are not free photographer, free journalist, of course. But if you are working for the media who is in the hands of somebody who is not the part of the establishment, it's my case. For example, my magazine Týždeň is owned by 3 people. These are not politicians, these are people. One is my editor-in-chief, the second is the boss of one factory, and the third is also one rich man. But I never felt in Týždeň magazine some pressure, you must write something like this, something, never. If they try to do it like this on me, I will stop, I will finish, and I will go to the other media. So I'm happy that I'm living in the country where still you have the chance to go from one media to the other. I don't know from which country you are?
Serbia.
From Serbia. So I don't know how the situation in Serbia is now. I was there, for example, many times. Also during Zoran Đinđić, he was still the chairman of the Prime Minister 2003. He was shooting.
2003 it was attitude.
Yes. I was there, for example, in 2015 or 16. When was Radovan Karadžić captured? When was his case on Hague? 2016 or 15?
I think
15. I was with Marko Sladojevič. He was, jak sa povie, advokát?
Lawyer.
He was lawyer, obhajca.
Advocate. Lawyer? Lawyer. He's a lawyer.
Yeah, he was attorney of this Radovan Karadžić, and I spoke also to the people from B92 TV and B92 to radio, and they explained me something about the media in Serbia, but I think it's much better. It's much better than during the Slobodan Milošević.
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. During Slobodan Milošević it was really clear. Okay. It was really clear with the media. One, it was pro-government, and the other side was, let's say, against. Now, it's mostly of them is pro-government, and that, by myself, what I think for some society is the censure is not so bad like auto-censure. now in Serbia leading out of censure in mostly of media. And generally, if you talk about TV, is a disaster, is a paradise for realities, is a paradise for, you know, that insane things. Newspaper, I don't know, mostly normal is danas, yes, today, and it sell 4,000 pieces per day, you know, what is a ridiculous amount.
My friend, can I... yes, I understand you very good what you want to say. I'm sorry we have no chance to speak deeply about the situation in Serbia, but what I know is that in B92 was the program, I don't know the name, but in Serbian language it was Patriotska plačka.
Patriotska pljačka, it was
about
show
Kosovo,
Insider.
Yes, Insider, about the Serbian financial corruption in Kosovo, and it was the very good kind of the program who showed to the people how many million of euros from Serbia were used in Kosovo. It's for me very important that in this time, it was, I don't know, 2012, 2010, I don't know when exactly, but it was the very good kind of the journalism in Serbia, what I know.
It was only one I know.
I think we have two more reactions here.
That is she is one of the, you know,
Excuse me, I have another question that I'm really interested in, and I maybe want to hear what you have to say. So for me, it was really interesting to hear what you have to say about talking with fascists. That was really interesting, and I'm really interested in how to do it, and maybe you can say a bit more that you're do it right and really can make a good situation of communication and not ending up just making a stage for them to present their fascist idea. Maybe you can say something more to that. Thank you.
Yes, sometimes the people ask me why I don't, as a moderator of this discussion, don't invite on the stage somebody from this fascist party. I answer, I don't invite member of any party, not only fascist, also the other democratic. This is the civic initiative, Forgotten Slovakia, and we have only historian, survivors, and they can go as you in the audience and do ask the question. And perhaps I didn't understand good your question. It's the...
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry. It was more, I think it's a really big discussion going on right now, how to deal with that kind of fascist rising again in Europe and especially also in Germany. Yeah. And I'm really not sure what is the right strategy to do it. Invite them in talk shows and let them speak, giving them a stage or not. Do you understand better?
Yes. We are not doing this in TV, we are doing this in the public halls, in the schools, this discussion. And me personally, I will never want to discuss with leader of this party, Mr. Kotleba, because if I will be in one discussion with him, my first and only one question will be, Mr. Kotleba, do you still believe that the history is like this, like this? If yes, it's for me not acceptable to be in the part of discussion with you. If you change your opinion that the history is different, that the war state of Mr. Tiso as a president in Slovakia was not so perfect, if you will change your mind, I can discuss with you. But I don't want to discuss with fascists because it's useless. I want to discuss with your supporters, people who goes on my discussion, but not with you.
Maybe we can add about the format of these discussions and this project, which is really that on the stage there are only a few professionals, historian, ethnologist, politologist maybe, and definitely no one from the fascist party, definitely not. They are not given the space on the stage. But of course the audience is open, anyone can come. Usually secondary schools are invited, mainly students.
Yeah.
But also these people which are extremists or followers of the neo-Nazi party, they can come, and usually they do come there, and of course they try to provoke them quite a lot. It is difficult to keep the discussion in some borders, but I think it's quite a good concept that they are not really given the main role there, but they are not completely out, that you are not allowed here and we don't want to talk to you. Because also in Slovakia we have a lot of discussions whether it is really right and does it make sense to talk to these really hardcore neo-Nazis which have their opinions and are not able to accept any arguments. Does it make sense? Some people say it's no point to make discussions with them because we will not change them. Some people say let's try to talk to them, or let's try to have them part of the audience. So just to explain, you can add more.
I will give you one example. We had one discussion in the town near from Banská Bystrica, Žiarna, and there was one young man from this party, Mr. Kotleba party, who started to ask very angry questions, and I visited him after 2 weeks in his work. And I want to make with him interview for the film which is preparing about my work. One documentary director is preparing one film about me, but he refused. And I start to explain him that from my family we have the people who died in the concentration camps because half of my family is Jewish. And I explain him that 30 people from my family died in the concentration camps during World War II. And he asked me, how do you know it? And I told him, what? How do you know it? I'm sorry, young man, but I don't understand your question. They didn't come back from the concentration camps. And he says, perhaps they left to America and didn't know you what happened with them. That's the point when discussion with him should finish. You have no chance to continue in discussion with people like this. No chance.
I think there was another question or comment there.
Yeah, maybe more personal if I can. There is a publication of Polish photo reporter Krzysztof Miller. He was witnessing most of the conflicts and war of our modern world. Last year he committed suicide because he suffered for post-traumatic stress disorder, which was somehow connected with what he experienced, what he saw. And the name or the title of the publication that he gave to it is the photos that didn't change the world. So my question is how often, or whether you have this kind of doubts or feeling of failure or this feeling of being burned out, and maybe it's quite personal, but I think that's, for me, it's quite interesting because it's really hard work, and also this feeling that we need to believe that what we are doing that really can make some change.
Yeah, thank you. Between 2011 and 2015, I had a very difficult period of my life. I was also treated in psychiatry with depression. I don't want to speak deeply about this. It was also in touch with my work. It was touch with my personal story. So that's all about this. But I don't believe that my pictures can change the world. I believe in the sentence I don't know who says this, perhaps Kappa, I don't know. Your pictures doesn't change the world. Your picture just can show why the world should be changed. And I do it not for millions of people. I do my work for one personality who can understand what I want to express, and that's enough for me. If one person, it's like Schindler's List, like a quote from Talmud. It's not necessary to save all the people. It's if you save one person, you save everybody. So I'm not doing for millions. I'm doing for one man or one woman. And if you do it with this attitude, you will be not depressed. You will be not because yes, okay, perhaps hundreds of people they are not interested in your work, but sometimes I go in the shop and the people start to shake my hand. They know what I'm doing. That's enough. That's enough. Also, these discussions, people goes for discussion, and after the discussion goes to the stage, and they want to continue in discussion after the finishing of discussion. Also, this member of this extreme right Kotleba party, because they want to ask more and more and more. It's for me the reason why I do it with my friends, because you never know what's happened in the head of the people. Perhaps after discussion they still think that Mr. Kotleba is the best politician in Slovakia, but perhaps it starts some process in their mind, and we have also some feedback that after many weeks the young people wrote us on the Facebook site that they change their opinion. That's the reason why I do it. And I'm so sorry about this Polish photographer. I didn't know it, and I'm so sorry. I respect this information, and yes, it's very difficult to be the man who is showing to the other people these horrible situations. I know.
Thank you, Andrej. I think, looking at my watch, that the time is over and we can continue informally a little bit after this. Maybe the last question, I take the privilege that I'm sitting here. So after all these terrible things you saw in your life, are you an optimist or a pessimist? Can we look forward to a better world, better humanity which will win? Are we developing towards a better world?
It exists one sentence that pessimist is former optimist with a good experience. So I don't know. I feel as an optimist with a good experience. So I'm not pessimist. What I do now with Forgotten Slovakia, that's the fact that this Kotleba party is in the parliament, is for me the inspiration for the civic engagement with my friend. That's good, not? What is bad on this?
I love this picture. One more.
Yes.
I really wanted to ask you before.
Yes,
also
that's one.
And let's finish with this.
That's one of my favorite pictures. This is from Haiti after earthquake. This is the second biggest town, Leogan. Behind these old ladies was former Catholic cathedral, totally destroyed by the earthquake. And it's on Sunday morning during the Mass, Holy Mass. And these old ladies, they have nothing. They have destroyed houses, but even this fact, they use their better clothes, white, and you can see everything. And they go on the Holy Mass in these clouds because it's necessary to go not in the bad, but in the good. So it's for me, because what we see in Slovakia, for example, I don't know in other countries, but Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, which is true. Haiti is the country when everybody, their grandparents or grandparents of their grandparents were the slaves from Africa. It's also true. But these are people who have something strong in their culture, in their religion, and I respect it very much. This is the picture to show how the people
survive. It's
survive.
a picture of hope for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that we can finish, and let me thank Andrej very much. Thank you.
Thank you for your invitation.
Very nice.